Right, welcome back to the greenhouse. I've been coming out the past couple of days to try and prepare the greenhouse ready for January. Because last year I kind of let it go a little bit sideways. My biggest problem is just watering. Because I'm like on a hill. The tap is at the bottom of the hill. My water butt is outside the back of the greenhouse. So because it's not absolutely convenient, that makes me kind of not water. So last year everything got a little bit dry, but not too dry, really. It was just it would have got done a lot better if the soil was a bit better, if the compost was deeper. You can see just here actually the beds are only about halfway full. I know obviously don't want them to be brimming to the top, but I've just been to B&Q, bought some soil conditioner, which soil improver actually, which is most likely just multi-purpose compost in a different packaged bag. So I'm going to be topping up these beds. I'll show them in a sec. There are a couple of updates in the greenhouse. I've put some nice pebbles on the floor, so it's not chalk anymore, so it looks a bit more well kept. The only issue is that the weeds are going to continue to come up, which they already are. But that's fine. I'm not worried about that. And what else have I done? Added the two beds. I don't know if you saw the two beds last time. You probably did. And I've still got a little geranium flowering, and it is the 30th of December today. So it's very dry. Smells lovely. And I've got a lot of my cactus that are doing quite well. I don't think you guys would have seen those either. But anyway, let me show you guys what I'm going to be sowing in January. So I have already sown carrots in this bed here. I don't know how successful they're going to be, but I've been watching quite a lot of videos recently, and people have been saying that they're planting some carrots in the greenhouses, polytunnels, in January. I know it's December, but same difference. And they should be ready for like an early crop in like April. So I'm going to try that. And the variety I got there is Nantes 5. It was just this multi-pack. They're just like finger carrots. They're not super thick ones. So I've just sown some of those in there, just 3 rows. My carrots did really well outside, but the foxes and other stuff have just been digging up the last ones, so it's an absolute mess out there. But anyway, indoors I'm going to be sowing early basil. I know this is probably not going to do incredibly in the early months of the year, but I'm thinking the sooner I get it started, I'm going to have grow lights and keep the heating on to a relative standard. And hopefully these will grow a bit better than they did last year. Last year I grew them from seed last year, and then planted them out in the greenhouse next to the peppers and the tomatoes. They did okay. They just didn't really grow quickly. And I know basil's not a super fast growing plant anyway, but when it's in the right conditions, it is. But those conditions are conditions that I have never seemed to have found. So I'm going to be sowing those early. It does say that you can sow them all year round. Obviously, it just depends on your external environment. I'm going to grow onions. I feel like everyone sows onions from seed this time of year. I did sow some of these last year, but only one of them managed to survive because in the vegetable bed that I plant them in, which is the one outside just next to the greenhouse, they just were being competed with weeds, and I can't really remember why they declined, but there was one that survived and it only got to about that big, so I didn't harvest it. I just must have just composted it. And then I'm going to be sowing my leeks indoors again, just under a grow light, and hopefully this year I'll get a good harvest of leeks, because I'm trying to figure out which vegetables I'm going to grow and actually use. And leeks is something that we only use a few of them every year. We don't eat them often, and so if I were to grow my own supply, we could probably be self-sufficient with leeks. We're self-sufficient with garlics because I harvested loads last year. I don't know if I showed you, but I'll insert a picture here, and we still have loads left. So I do think by next autumn or late summer, we'll still probably have a couple left. So I reckon we're going to be self-sufficient with garlics, which is pretty cool. Next, I'm going to be sowing my tomatoes. There was another pack here. There's another pack of tomatoes as well. So I'm going to be growing plum tomatoes because they're good for making sauces with, and we make a lot of pasta, so that should hopefully be good. I'm going to be sowing them indoors probably towards the end of January because they are going to probably grow relatively quick, and I don't really need them to be a foot tall before I take them out of the house. So I'll probably sow those a bit later. And then I've got another plum variety, which is al fresco. And this is just like a free packet that I must have got from somewhere. Yeah, so I'm going to be sowing those in January. And then the last thing I'm going to be sowing in January, well, probably not the last thing, but the last thing that I have in my hands is spinach. I'm probably going to sow this directly outdoors at maybe the end of January, but we've got a greenhouse, so maybe mid-January, roundabout. It doesn't really matter too much, but I'm going to sow it. Last time I grew this variety outdoors, it got savaged by slugs, and I remember the bits that I did harvest didn't taste very good, but I'll try again. See how it goes. But yeah, what I want to do, let me turn the camera around. I'll show you guys some of what's going on because we've got a bit of a mess in one bed. The second bed over there, let me just turn you around. Right, so this bed here, I don't know how well you can see. I cleared this out the other day. Let me just pop this down. I cleared this out just, I want to say it was yesterday, but it might not have been. It might have been the day before. I've got one cabbage left. I say one cabbage left. Only one cabbage grew. And he's there. He's solid. He's just got a few holes in, but I think I'll be able to cut around them, harvest it, and use it. Next to it, I've got some parsley, which is doing really well. And here, this parsley is doing incredible. And it's going to probably bolt as it starts to get warmer. So I'll probably cut it all down, dry it, and then store it dry, or just keep trying to use it as and when, and then just get rid of it. But yeah, this bed here had the tomatoes in it. It had the cucumbers up that end, tomatoes. I planted the cabbages in here only to be in here temporarily, to then transplant them out once they got to a size. But they ended up staying there. So I left them there, and that's what happened. And then there was, yeah, 2 big tomatoes here. And then I planted like basil and herbs around the edges. Oh, and in the spring as well, this was full of lettuces, and they did really well. And we was picking lettuce for months. So they did really well, and they didn't bolt quickly. I was expecting them to bolt really quick in the heat, but they didn't, which was incredible. I think probably because they were kind of shaded by cucumbers that side, and then shaded by giant tomatoes this side. But this is the bed I want to tackle today because I've still got like seed trays in there from last year. I've got my chilies, which I'm really tempted to leave just to see if they'll overwinter. They probably won't, because honestly, as we get to January, February, when we get the real cold weather, they're probably going to rot off. So I should probably just get rid of them now. And they didn't even really produce anything last year. I maybe got like 2 chilies off of them. They just did not do well. The chilies that did start to grow, they got like nibbled on, and then they just rotted instantly. So I'm probably I'm trying to decide, or I feel like in my head I've made the decision, but I'm trying to push myself to get rid of them and not do them again, because we don't really, we use chilies, but we use a lot of chili flakes and stuff, so we don't really need fresh chilies. So I could probably just get rid of them. What's this? Oh, I must have put in, oh, the garlics. I put in here some of the garlic. When I harvested the garlic, some of them had flowered, and this one had little garlic. They are miniature garlics. They're not even seeds. They're just actual garlics ready to be planted. That is interesting. I'm not going to plant them because I have a million garlics. And I already sowed my garlics in November, I think. Okay, right. Right, okay, so let's clear some stuff out. I say clear stuff. Just gonna move it from there to there. Oh, that was a dahlia. That can go. That can just be dug in because the dahlia is definitely dead, rotten. So that can come out. I'm gonna pull out the chilies. I'm just gonna make the decision, and we're just gonna do it. Let me move this seed tray. I'll actually dig the plugs into the ground. Not those ones. Those ones are too root matted. Okay, right. Oh, it was funny. This, yeah, it's a good job on getting rid of these. It's going to be better, isn't it? This bed, because I kept leaving the greenhouse door open, and I don't know if you can see there's like an indent there, and we saw it a couple of times. Or I didn't see it. My partner saw that there was a fox that kept coming in here and laying there. So I'm probably not going to touch it in case there's like fox diseases, but oh, it's poor chili. Very healthy roots. Oh well. But yeah, there was a fox that was sleeping in here, so I've now been closing the door just because I don't really want like any fox wee. It smells really bad. I don't want any nasty stuff in here. Yeah, so I'll definitely wash my hands after touching all of this. Oh, it's such a shame to get rid of this. Right, shake it all off, keep that soil in there. Okay, get rid of these sticks. I do actually have some like Rebecca's in here as well. Like we grew them from seed last year, and I grew them in this bed. I don't know, I was just using this as a bit of a nursery bed, so I just chucked them in there. And they're still in there, so I'll probably try and dig them out and see. Oh, I don't know, I should probably get rid of them, to be honest. Or I could just transplant them. Let me try and see how they're going. So we're here, all these guys. Oh yeah, he's got a little like resting bud. Let me try and show you. He's got some little resting growth there. So yeah, I'll transplant these. Let me stick them in the other bed just for now, and then I can transplant them because I do like Rebecca's. But they tend to rot off quite easily if they are too wet in the winter. So that one can be thrown. There's like no growth on there. Probably will still come back, but I want to try and be a bit ruthless to actually clear some stuff. Otherwise, it just ends up an impractical space, and then I don't end up growing the stuff that I actually should be growing because I'm holding on to stuff that doesn't need the space. Okay. Oh, this chili here got knocked over by the fox. Whoa. See, that's how shallow this bed is. Because under this is just chalk. I don't know if you can even see me. So that's why I want to add some more soil to these beds and make them retain water better so that next year, even if I inevitably don't water them as much as I should, they might have a better chance of surviving. Let's get this. I've even got, like, I had loads of dahlias in pots that I just didn't plant out. I don't know what happened last year, but I don't want to repeat last year. I think I put too much effort into work and not enough effort into my personal life. And that is not the way to go. Right, this is dry as anything, but this was one of the basils that I grew last year. So you can see that's literally about as tall as it got. It has seeded as well, which is cool. It smells lovely. Stick that there. Okay, I'm going to leave the parsley for now, just because it's not doing any harm and it's still actually doing quite well. And it'd be a shame to get rid of it at this point. There's another basil there. Let me get rid of that. And there's grass weeds coming up. Okay. There's a bit of cardboard from the bottom. Get rid of the name tags. Okay, now that I've like churned it up a bit, it looks a lot fuller, but I am gonna still put a whole bag on here. Let me get the seeds out of the way, put them back in my pocket. If you guys don't have a hori hori, I definitely recommend getting one. They look a bit brutal, but after a few uses, they do get a bit blunt. But the tip's not sharp. But they just really help for, well, to be honest, the thing I use most is digging holes to plant stuff and weeding. But obviously with like bags of compost, you can literally just slice it in and it works really well. So I'm going to put this whole bag on here, and I'm not going to dig it in, I'm just kind of just going to layer it on top. Where did I put my trowel? But what I am going to do is kind of try to keep it a bit damp, because this is going to have so much fungi, bacteria in it that's really going to improve the soil. Is that there's a chestnut. So I think squirrels have been in here as well. There's a nice chestnut there. Yeah, and it's got little teeth marks on it. Hopefully it's squirrels and not rats, but I'm gonna spread this over. So this is going to improve soil. It's going to add a lot of it's going to add some nutrients to the soil. It's going to obviously mean it dries out slower because there's going to be more mass, so it can retain more moisture, and it's going to look so much nicer. Spread it out. So this is literally just multi-purpose compost. God, that looks so much nicer. Okay, cool. So now I feel better about that because this bed is now pretty much ready for next year. I'm not going to cover it. I'll probably give it a little water in today, just to keep the microbiome alive. If it dries out too much, I don't think the microbiome will completely die off, but obviously it's not going to do as well as it could if it's a bit damp. So I'll give that a water, and I'm sure the parsley will appreciate the water as well. And that is that bed ready for next year. I need to plan what I'm going to grow in here for next year, because I'm probably not going to grow chilies again, which is going to free up a lot of this space, because last year this was just chilies, basil, cucamelons that side, and then maybe cucamelons this side as well. I don't fully remember, but yeah, that sounds about right. So my water butt is just behind my greenhouse, and I do have a path here, but because it's such a long way around, it's just quite inconvenient to come here. But I found that it's a lot easier if I just take the lid off and fill it up this way. It's a lot quicker than the tap. So let me just get some fresh water. Get that lid back on. One thing I don't think people realise, but I feel like I know about this because of a personal experience. It's really important to put the lids on. Just one, obviously you don't get leaves in there, but if you get like wild animals or people's cats that could fall in, they could drown. So one thing I just thought I'd mention that whilst I'm here. Right, okay, where did I put my watering can? Rose, there you are. So this one doesn't actually fit this, but it's the closest I have. So yeah, I'm just gonna water it in. This probably looks pointless to everyone because I'm not growing anything in here yet, but I want to keep it, because it was super dry. I let it dry out like over the whole of the autumn. I just want to try and keep it a bit healthier now, and using rainwater as well, because it's slightly acidic and it's going to have a lot of good microbacteria in it as well. It's just going to keep this super alive and healthy, which is then going to allow the nutrients to be released from the organic matter a lot better. There we go. Wicked. That looks so good. Okay, cool. Right. So I'm not going to put anything in. I'm not going to put soil in that bed for now because I've already planted carrots in there. But once I harvest the carrots in potentially April, then I'll add another bag of compost there. I'll show you my other two of these vegetable beds, and then I've got a big veg area that needs some attention. I probably won't do that all today, but I'll show you guys that as well because I don't know, I'm getting really excited about this year growing, so I'll show you. Right, okay, so this is where I grew sweet corn last year. They actually did pretty well. Well, no, they looked terrible, but we did have a harvest, so that was good. And then that bed there that you can't really see, that was where the carrots, parsnips were. I'll show you what they look like because some of them were incredible. And then it's a mess right now because the foxes keep digging in it. So this bed doesn't have much compost in it, so I'm going to add a bag, and it's got a lot of grass clippings in it, and I'm certain loads of weeds are going to grow in here, but there's not really too much I could do about that. I'm going to cover it over. I'm going to add this bag, and then I'm going to cover it over with like a weed membrane. I'm just going to use the stuff that I have. I don't think it's the best stuff, but I'm going to use it and see how it goes. It's only, I don't know what I'm going to sow in here yet. I don't know what I'm going to grow in here for next year, so it's going to do for now. And it's probably not really going to cover too much. There we go. Let's get this around. And because this bed is actually in the ground and it has like actual earth under it, this bed's going to have a lot more worms, whereas the ones in the greenhouse, they are just on top of solid chalk, so I don't suspect there's going to be any worms in those. So I'm not going to dig too much. All I'm doing is covering up this current soil, and then I'm going to cover it over with some weed suppressant, which I don't know if that's going to be a super good idea or not, but it's permeable, so it should stay damp. Yeah, I just need to go and cut some, so I might do that in a second. And then I might leave it there, go in and maybe sow some seeds or leave it there. But I'm glad I'm actually out here getting stuff done because it's needed. If I prepare properly, then I'm gonna have more of a chance at doing good. All right, let's grab this bag. Right, let's get this on here. It's probably not gonna be the best, but it'll do. I just wanted to stop the weeds from growing, and I think it will help with that. I don't think it's going to do an incredible job, but it is what it is. And I'm just going to put like maybe rocks or pots on top to keep it down. But we bought this to go under the gravel because we've got a gravel patio down there, and then I used the rest of the gravel for inside the greenhouse. But I didn't put weed membrane under there because it was solid chalk. So, okay. I wanted to, in my mind, I was thinking, I could just tuck it into the soil, but then the edges could probably still grow weeds. So if I tuck it in a little, whilst I go around and find stuff to put on top of it. No, that's not going to tuck in at all, is it? Okay, right. Plan 2. Come on, I've got loads of stuff everywhere. I just need like 4 things for the corners. Come on. Okay, so this will do for now. For right now, not for long term now. Let's get these pots. I'm gonna just stand them upside down in the corners. Oh, there's actually soil in there. Let's use that. Don't waste it. If I just stand those up in the corners, then I mean that's better than nothing, isn't it? Oh, okay, cool. I'll put the rest of the weed membrane in the greenhouse, but let me grab the camera and I'll show you this bed here. Okay, so I've got this bed here as well. That's where the bananas was. I mean, they're still there. They're just wrapped. And then I was growing sweet peas up that little bamboo situation. And then here I had potatoes all along here. I've since dug them up, so I've just laid down my seed trays to try to retain the weeds a little bit. I've still got some Swiss chard, and it's kind of to the point where I just maybe might get rid of it or leave it. No, I'll leave it until the spring, so I can potentially harvest some of it in the spring, but it's probably going to bolt. And then I have there, you might look at those and think, oh god, they're big weeds, but they are Scotch thistles and they're like really structural plants, and I love them. So I'm going to be digging them up and moving them probably further up the garden somewhere. So they're just there for now. And then I had loads of beetroots and then strawberries. The strawberries I just stuck there because they needed to go somewhere. So I'll probably dig them up and move them. But yeah, the beetroots this year, that I've left them in here because look at that. You can literally see through it. Like, oh my god. We just had absolute crazy slugs and snails to the point where we didn't really harvest many beetroots because they all ended up looking like that really soon. So I'll be getting rid of all of these, and I'm going to plant more beetroots. But hopefully this coming year won't be as bad with the slugs and snails. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it there for today with you guys. I'm going to continue, but yeah, I thought this is just a very like laid back, relaxed video, but I thought I would show you guys, get you a bit more involved, and do some jobs in the garden. So yeah, if there's anything you want to see in particular, let me know. I still got all my carnivorous plant collection. It's huge. I'm actually considering downsizing, just because it takes up like the entire bench in my greenhouse, and I've only got one side benched. The pond is still there, obviously, but it's like super overgrown. I need to do something about that. I've still got all my houseplants. To be fair, my houseplants are looking probably the best they've looked in a long time, which is really nice. Maybe I'll do a houseplant video soon when I've got some time. That's the thing, when it comes to Christmas time and I have like a week off of work, it gives me that like it reignites my ability to do the stuff that I enjoy. And then the second that I go back to work, I kind of forget the all the stuff that I can do and don't have time for it. So that's what I'm in my mind dreading that's what's going to happen again. But I'm going to try and take a bit more control this year, and I don't know. Anyway, that's a different situation. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I keep watching like allotment videos, and it seems like such a good community, but there's not that many people I've found. If you've got some recommendations, actually, let me know. But I don't see that many people that grow stuff in their own back gardens. I see a lot of like allotment videos. But if you've got any recommendations, let me know, because I'd like to watch some more like gardener YouTubers. But okay, cool. Right, I'm gonna leave it there. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you had a good Christmas and Happy New Year. And I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be soon. But yeah, so I need to sell my stuff, so I'll probably do something about that. But cool. All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.